Hey there, how are you? Hope you're having a great day. So today we're going to do another dump and swirl, and we're going to do this on an 18 by 24 canvas. It's a repurposed canvas, so I'm doing a little bit of an experiment with some of the paints I'm going to be using today. My last couple of paintings I used Craft Smart paints, and I got an interesting effect. I'm going to see how that works again today on this small canvas. I'm going to be doing blues and greens with some white in between. So just some of the simple colors that I usually like to use. One thing I have noticed though recently, when people will ask me questions about how do you get these cells without using satin enamels or without using silicone. And I just sort of had this realization, and maybe I could do some more testing on this, but I think that what it is that these craft paints like Deco Arts, Folk Art, Craft Smart, they sell really, really well in terms of cells. And then maybe they do sell well at the store, I don't know. But they work really well to create these pearls and these cells. Now, metallics does the same thing. When you thin metallics, you can get some great cells as well. And I don't think it really matters if they're craft paint metallics or not. But I would have to look into that a little bit more. So just a couple of thoughts on that. People will ask me, like they use Amsterdam or Goldens. I've used them, but they're not as consistent. And the craft paints are much more affordable. The colors are great, the pigments are great, and they seem to work just fine. So I'm not going to change what works for me. I'm going to use the paints that are affordable that also give me some great color and great color combinations. So that's what I'm going to be using today, Craft Smart. I've got some blue, green, like I mentioned, and I'm going to throw some white in between to kind of just separate it and lighten it up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to mix my paints, and we'll get started here in just a second. Okie dokie, here we are back in the studio with my emerald green, my sky blue, my sapphire, I have white pearl, and I have pearl, and then of course I have Artist Loft Soft Body Black. I'm going to be working on this 24 by 18 canvas. So I'm going to start off by saying today that I had a little bit of trouble. I just wanted to show you my process and also let you know that, yeah, when you're working with fluid art, it doesn't always go as planned. What turned out great in this painting are the cells that I was able to produce. What you'll see in just a few moments here is that the cells didn't fill in on the canvas, and I had a big negative space. And so I, start to pay attention to the canvas as I'm tilting. As you can see, sort of the speckles start to come up, the cells start to pop up through the black paint. And on the lower left corner, I was paying attention to this black streak that wasn't filling in. And even though that's probably not a big issue, it can sort of get in the way of a composition. And as you can see, had a lot of black space in there, and that didn't fill in as well. So I was a little discouraged, and I decided to take matters into my own hands, and I decided to scrape this canvas and start over. And the good thing is about doing that is that I do have and did have some leftover paint so that I could use the same colors and give it another try. Okie doke. So here we go again. We're going to try for pour number 2. And again, I poured pretty much in the same order, I believe, with the blues and then the green. What I will say about this, and you'll see in just a moment, is that the cells and the blue of the cells were just spectacular. It was really beautiful. But I had the same problem, that the center did not fill in. So I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to have a little bit of a walkthrough in just a moment and talking a little bit more about this painting. Okay, hold on. Hey guys, I'm back. So listen, I am going to I'm gonna paint over this. I'm not gonna scrape it. So this is what happens when I have a bad day. What's great about this is that I have some really great cells. Lots of interesting cells, look at that. But for me, I need to have the center filled in pretty much. I mean, you know, I need to have more color and less negative space. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna pour the same colors, a little less paint because I already have paint on the canvas, and we'll see what we get. Okay, so be patient, I appreciate it, and I'm gonna get started here in a few minutes. Okie doke, here we go for my third and final pour. Oh, those blues were pretty. So when you pour on top of an existing pour, especially if you're pouring on top of black, it will mute the colors a little bit. So the color's a little bit more muted on this one, but there's still a very interesting composition, which you'll see at the end of this as well as through the walkthrough. So once again, I used the same colors. I think I put them down a little bit differently this time, but I used less paint because I already had a layer of paint on the canvas. So here we go. We're gonna go ahead and tilt it and make sure those corners are covered. And getting it over that last corner and bringing it back. So I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really sure what was gonna happen. I wasn't too thrilled the way it was looking. It was slowly filling in. I was thinking, well, you never know. So I just decided to walk away and to let it sit for about 30 to 45 minutes. And yeah, then I came back to it and you'll see those results in just a few moments. Wow, you know, when I walked away from this, I was thinking, oh, I'm probably gonna have to scrape it, or I've painted on this canvas so many times that I probably wouldn't even keep it at this point. But then I walked in and it filled in, and yeah, it's just kind of cool. I bet you can tell where I'm gonna go in and clean things up. Doot doot, right there. Had some little, I don't know what you call them. Had some issues there. But yeah, I am so surprised. I'm kind of laughing because I was not expecting this to have some interest to it. I mean, look at even the darker cells, just look at the how they're defined. And this is just a great example of why I like doing these types of pours, because you know, the sides can be darker, which is fine, but then you have this light that kind of just pulls you in towards that negative space. Have a great cell there in the middle. Like I said, I'm gonna paint this out over here and probably just highlight these cells because they're really kind of, well, I don't know, I might not. It just depends on how it dries. I mean, that's the big part, right? Is, you know, how it dries and what it's gonna look like. But yeah, I mean, this blue goes all the way around up to the top, and a nice little blue corner. Yeah, so that's I'm sorry, I don't mean to be laughing. I just think it's kind of cool and I wasn't expecting it. So what I'm going to do is gonna let it dry. I'm gonna go in and touch up some areas, and then I'll show you the dried results. Okay guys, thanks. We'll see you real soon. Hey guys, here we are with the dried walkthrough today. Again, I'm really happy with these colors. It looks really fascinating. It's kind of interesting. Kind of reminds me of Stormy Seas, sort of rough weather. So yeah, I'm gonna go in and I am going to touch up right through here and maybe around the edges, I'm not real sure. Once I get started here in just a second, I'm gonna put it on time lapse and we will get this done. Okay guys, here we are. It's all completely dried. And as you can see, I just cleaned up the negative space. I had some of those little, I don't know, little trails, little worms, and I got rid of those. And that's all I did. I decided not to touch any of the cells around here because they look really good in contrast against the black, because I think there's like a white background to it. But again, I'll just come in and show you some more of the details again. As you can see, it's an interesting painting, that's for sure. Wasn't quite what I was going for, but I was persistent and I also didn't scrape it. After having failed pours today, or yesterday actually, I'm so glad that this one turned out kind of interesting. I do love sort of the movement around it. There's a lot of movement. It sort of pulls you in towards the negative space. The sort of blue around here is really beautiful. So I'm hoping this varnishes well. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching and thanks for being along for this video today. And we'll do another one soon. Okay, take care.